Hi, good evening to you. My name is Duncan Barkebo Chepcheng. I am the director and founder at LeadCast Limited, where we train, coach, and empower people on leadership because we believe leaders change destinies. Today, I just want us to discuss a few questions which I've received from you on social media, on Facebook. I've received some people from mail, and even some questions from people whom I meet face to face, and we discuss these things, and they ask me questions about leadership. Many people wonder my story, and they have been asking me, you seem to have achieved a lot in your life story, but what is the secret? What is the thing you talk about every time called leadership? Why do you really keep on mentioning about leadership? Many people don't understand what leadership is because they believe that it is associated with a position, it's associated with titles, it's associated with an element of somebody having some characteristics which define leadership. Today, I want to dwell on some of these questions, and it's interesting to see so many questions which have come through my social handle and through our Facebook page, LeadCast Limited. I want to encourage you to go to Facebook, like LeadCast Limited, and you can post in, send a message. You can also interact with us on that platform. Good. I can see somebody here called Drusilla Nyaboke just asking me one question. What really differentiates one person from another in terms of leadership? What is this thing that people have that really makes them different from others? Drusilla, I don't know what to tell you, but I just want to tell you that one thing differentiates leaders from other people. The basic thing is courage. Courage. Courage is actually the biggest ingredient in leadership, because in many instances you are going to be going against the grain of situations, the grain of circumstances in the society. You will be challenging things which most people would fear challenging. Actually, there is a saying which says that a leader is someone who does the things which people ordinarily would do, but they fear doing them. For example, a leader would just wake up at 3 a.m. and read a book. Most people at that time, they're sleeping and enjoying their sleep. A leader would face an administration, for example, if they are leading a certain organization. I would say, no, this is how things should happen. And they take that courage to really make a difference in their lives and in the lives of others. So I would say the first thing is courage. Overcome fear through courage. Overcome whatever you call procrastination, whatever you call lack of confidence. Have the courage to face yourself in the mirror and say, no, this must end. I am fed up and these things must change in my life. So I would say the biggest ingredient that separates leaders is actually courage. In addition, I want to say that what separates one leader from another and one person from another in success in life is the element of communication. It is one thing to have ideas, it is one thing to have the courage, it is one thing to be able to know a lot of information in your mind. But if you cannot manage to communicate that information to others in a clear, easy to understand manner, then you will not be able to succeed. And I've talked about this in different platforms. I've written about it in my blog and in my website. And I've said communication is the ingredient and is the fodder of leaders. Because one thing is that when you have something in your mind, the best way is to ensure that the other person understands. And it's not supposed to be complicated. Most people, when I talk about communication, they think about these complicated English terms, these complicated strategies, these big things. But I should say, use a simple principle called the grandmother principle. I termed it a grandmother principle because I say, if you cannot explain it easily that your grandmother understands, then you yourself don't understand, and possibly many people will not understand you. Whether you are a doctor, whether you are an engineer, whether you are an architect, whether you are a pilot, if you cannot be able to articulate yourself in a way that your grandmother will understand, you are not going to lead in this world. And you're not going to lead yourself also. Because one of the things is that as the more you understand something, the more simple you see and the more easier you can be able to explain. There's another principle we call the elevator principle in communication. You say, if you find yourself in the elevator with someone, and the elevator is going from first floor to maybe fifth floor, and between second floor and fifth floor, how can you communicate or explain your idea to such a person? For example, if you found somebody who can support you in so short time, during that elevator time, and you're able to make a statement and to make communication which can be understood. So elevator principle is another way. Try and make it clear and straight to the point and concise about your idea. Beating around the bush, using so many words, tends to show that you don't understand your issue and your topic. I hope I have helped you, Drusilla. That was a good question, trying to see what really separates other people. I see another question here. Somebody wrote, Hi, Duncan. I'm happy and happy about your leadership comments. I really like reading your leadership stories in the Facebook. I just want to ask, what is the element which you can say can help someone get out of the comfort zone? And it's an interesting thing, and I want to challenge you, whoever wrote this and said, you really wish to get out of the comfort zone. How can you get out of this? I want to say that comfort zone is an area where most people are stuck in this society. I've walked around, and for the past 15 years, I've been in many organizations, worked with different people. And one of the things I find is that when somebody gets into a certain place, they feel so comfortable and they don't want to push themselves. One, because they fear change, and two, because they fear being changed, and three, they feel that whatever they do, they fear the risk of losing whatever they have. In essence, they trust that it is better what you know than whatever you don't know, so that you are comfortable there. But unfortunately, change will find them there, and the problem is that when that change arrives, they are the biggest casualties, and they have challenges in trying to adapt to that change. And most people actually get into sicknesses, medical issues, they have depression, mental problems, because they did not prepare themselves for that change. The reality is that comfort zone is the most dangerous situation. And I usually say change and improvement does not occur in a zone of comfort. Unless you have pain, that is when you will move. But I want to just dissect this and say most of the time, the biggest cause of somebody being at the comfort zone is basically fear. We need to understand that fear is not a big thing. Everybody has to fear. It's actually a human protective mechanism that your body uses and your mind uses to ensure that they are safe and they still keep alive and stay alive for long. Fear is a protective mechanism. But fear is not to be feared. What we usually advise you is that fear is to be understood. Understand what you are afraid about, seek information, talk to people, and you'll realize that whatever you thought is so big and you fear a lot is not really big, because somebody else has gone through it, somebody has already understood it, and they can give you some tips on how to go about it. And so we don't want you to struggle much, because fear is not something to be feared, but fear is to be understood. So for you to move from one point to another, at some point is that, first of all, you have to create a sense of urgency. For you to move out of a comfort zone, ensure that, first thing, have a sense of urgency. Know that time is limited in your life. If you're going to be there for the next 5 years, 10 years or so, you remember you are aging, your ideas are getting tired, and you're going to lose them, and a lot of other things coming. If you maybe your parents, children are growing up, a lot of things are coming up, and that can actually lead you to slip further into the comfort zone, and then you just realize time is gone, and positively you can't. Because remember, even the word of God tells us there is a time for everything and a season for everything. That at every season, you should be able to give yourself a sense of urgency. The second thing is to ensure that you have a group of people